Alright, hey everyone, welcome to our new lesson on neural networks. And so far, by the way, quick plug, if you guys are enjoying this course, really learning from it, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share with all of your friends. That will really support the channel and help get us the maximum reach. For this lesson, we're going to be going into neural networks. And we're also going to be going a little bit more deeper into music production. Um, and so for now, I've created this really simple R&B beat on BandLab. Let's take a quick listen to it. All right, so you guys get the feel. Couple things to note about what I did here. I've used different channels, a melody, some chords, bass, and drums. And each of these are its own separate channels that together are creating the song. And I want you to think of neural networks in a very similar way. Each it has or a neural network is formed of a bunch of different neurons, and they work together to form the entire neural network. So for now, think of these different channels like these individual neurons. So the interesting thing here is though it's how they mix together. When you're in a neural network, each neuron is kind of like a raw input signal. It's kind of like um, so they basically receive this raw data and they mix it together to create something meaningful and using all these different pieces of information. Just like all these different channels make one entire song. And so what I want to pay close attention to is this thing called equalization. So here, I'm gonna go in to my drums, add this thing called EQ. Very quick summary of EQ. It basically boosts different frequencies. For example, if something's a really high frequency and I want to kind of make it a bit more muddier sounding, might decrease the EQ here, or essentially decreasing its kind of volume and making a bit more muddy sounding at higher frequencies, or sorry, lower frequencies. And at higher frequencies, I might, if I'm pushing it up here, that means I kind of want to get some more boost, a little bit more reverb, a bit more volume. And so let's just take a little play at it. Let's just say starting out, your initial neural network before you've really done any training. This is your preset. So since I've on the lower frequencies, I want them very minimal. High frequencies, I really want that boost and reverb and all that volume jazz. So take a listen. I'm not singular it out. Just hear this solely. Oh, sorry. Okay, first let's hear it normal. All right, I'm gonna put them back to normal, just so you get an idea of what changes that we are making. All right, let's just say this is normal. Probably has a little difference, but so now let's hear it like this, making these very minute changes. Realize that this is a very minute changes that, but together they make it a different feel. Let's hear it again. Really hear the hi-hat in there. Can't hear the bass really. And again, this is a very minute change on one particular channel. Keep that in mind. And see how you can hear the hi-hat overpowering and barely, if any, part of the bass. So now what the reason why I'm bringing this up is in neural networks, there's this algorithm called back propagation. Basically what it does is that it takes all these bunch of different layers, channels, and layers within each neuron. And essentially what it does is it kind of fine tunes it so that when you're receiving data through the neural network, you're modifying it in the series of steps that all together have these very minute set of instructions and training steps to predict that final output. And so what I might do is out of this back propagation, first step I might do is first this little experimentation, but obviously want that base. So I'll experiment a little bit more, decrease it a bit here, and don't want that much hi-hat, decrease it. This is exactly what a back propagation algorithm is, just fine tuning it, increasing, decreasing different weights of the neurons that connect each other. So you want some weights or some neurons to be weighted much more, some neurons to be weighted much less, such that when you have that weighted equation, when you add that up, you get a final answer that depends on some things more and some things less. So I want a bit more emphasis. I don't want no emphasis on the bass. I want a little bit emphasis. And on the hi-hats, I want a little less emphasis, but more emphasis than the bass. Here again. So now what you can hear is that the you can still hear the bass a little bit, but a little less than the hi-hat, just like we predicted. But the really important takeaway here in regards to neural networks is that neural networks don't want to overemphasize one neuron or one feature when it's creating its predictions. It wants to balance things according to different levels of influence. And how they do it is that they experiment around, kind of see which balance feels right, sounds right, is giving the best results. And that way, in future things, when you want to predict any more data values, the neural network's able to kind of process them in a very minute, detailed way that has the right balance between all the different features, so that you can get that right influence. And how it does it, just like EQ, is that it kind of experiments up and down a bit to see which gives you the best results on your training data. And so, in a little recap, each track in our DAW is an input neuron. And when you first run the neural network, you're essentially giving different features and subsets of those features different levels of influence that together make up a way to predict or find some quantity that you're looking for in the neural network. Now, those things, when you're initially running them, like we did with just some channels, you want some things to have a bit more influence, some things to have a bit less influence. So what you're going to do is go and equalize it, or in our neural network terminology, fine tune it, or or use back propagation to really hit that proper minute balance. Well, that's it for this video. Again, if you like this video, getting something meaningful, please do like, share, subscribe, drop any comments on your thoughts on this, and see you in the next one.